Hi, my name is Emily and welcome to Sweet Creek Patterns. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing a little bit of a different video. As you know, if I'm in this background, I normally am doing more of a vlog style video. But in today's video, I wanted to share me making a faux fur owl. So I originally released these two patterns, both this one and the baby owl pattern. So the mama and baby owl pattern. 2 weeks ago, and then last week, so then 2 weeks ago's YouTube tutorial was how to make this baby owl. Then last week's tutorial was how to make the mama owl. And then in this week's tutorial, I wanted to share just kind of bits and pieces and tips as I work with Faux Fur Yarn making the mama owl. So the Faux Fur Yarn that I'll be using is Crochet Fable Fur. Now, recently, Crochet changed their name of their faux fur line to Fairy Tale Yarn. So it's Crochet Fable Fur or Fairy Tale Yarn, whatever one you want to call it. And this color that I'm going to be using today is the color Kuma, but it's currently discontinued or out of stock. So I got like 5 balls of this yarn like several years ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago, and I am currently just working on finishing up some balls of yarn, so I figured this would be a perfect video to spark your creativity and get you thinking about different yarns you could use to make my owl. But then I also wanted to share, just because I really enjoy doing different yarns, using different yarns to make the same owl. And so that's the kind of the plan with this video. So this color of yarn, Kuma, is currently out of stock. They don't carry this anymore, this color, but they have a very similar color that is still available, and that's the Fable Fur Lapin color. Now, you'll notice when I hold these up that the main difference is that this one is a little bit of a lighter, it has a little bit more of a gray base instead of black. So you can see, if I hold it up, it has like this ribbon at the bottom and then the faux fur coming off. It has more of a gray at the base and then goes up to white. Now with the Lapin, it has a little bit more of a black at the base and goes up to white. Now, one other thing to note is that this Kuma has a little bit more white at the top, and so that I think also plays a factor into how these two balls look different. But either way, there's lots of beautiful colors on the Crochet website to get Fable Fur or Fairy Tale Yarn. That's this nice faux fur yarn. Lion Brand also has some faux fur yarn, so there's lots of different options to get faux fur yarn. But I will be using Fable Fur, Crochet Fable Fur in the color Kuma, or you can use it in Lapin. And so the first thing I'm going to go ahead and start doing is I'm going to make a swatch of the using Faux Fur Yarn and the same hook that I used to release this pattern, which is a 7mm hook. You can see right here. So this is the 7mm hook that I used when I made the original owl with blanket yarn. And so I'm going to go ahead and make a swatch of that, and then I'll meet you back, show you what the swatch looks like. And the first tip that I wanted to share also is about the fact that when you're using Faux Fur Yarn, if you're struggling to feel for your stitches, make sure to size up a hook size. So I'm going to go ahead and try the 7mm hook, and if I'm struggling with feeling the stitches, I'm going to go ahead and size up a hook size to an 8mm hook. So I'm going to go ahead and meet you right back and show you my progress. Alright, so I just finished making my swatch, and I used a 7mm hook, and I like it a lot. Now, one thing that I wanted to mention, like I already just mentioned, that if you're struggling to feel for your stitches, make sure to size up a hook size. So that would be one of my major tips for working with Faux Fur Yarn. So for me, I have made over 800 crocheted items using Faux Fur Yarn, and so Faux Fur Yarn is very, very comfortable to me. So I'm not going to be sizing up a hook size for my owl, but I would definitely recommend that, especially if you're new to Faux Fur Yarn or new to crocheting in general, that you size up a hook size. So an 8mm hook would be perfectly fine. You wouldn't see almost any stuffing. That wouldn't be a worry. So that's what I would definitely recommend if you're newer to crochet. But in the meantime, this is how my swatch turned out. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I did 9 single crochets and just a couple of rows, just to make sure that when my test I always do is that if you pull on each of the corners, do you see holes? And because it's faux fur, you're a lot less likely to see any holes, even with stretching it. But yeah, I'm very happy with it. It'll be a little bit more dense, and if you wanted to use size up hook size, it definitely would work. So, but anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and start working on the owl, and I'll meet you back after I do a couple rounds and show you my progress. Okay, so I got indecisive, like I tend to always get, and I wanted to try using an 8mm hook. So I made two more, I made a swatch with the 8mm hook, and let me show you kind of the difference. So with this is the 8mm hook swatch, and as you can see, it's bigger. But the other thing is that I think in the end I actually like it better, because you still can't feel any holes in the stuffing, and this way then there's something kind of different with them, doing something different, and I always love to do something different with my patterns. So I like this better. It's a little bit less stiff to work, like stiff fabric, and it's a little easier to work into. So I definitely would use an 8mm hook if you're at all struggling with a 7mm hook. And plus, it just looks, I think, nicer and a little bit less stiff and rigid as the 7mm hook swatch did. So I'm gonna end up using the 8mm hook instead of the 7mm hook. So I'm gonna go ahead, get started with my body, and then I'll meet you back in a little bit and show my progress. Okay, so I'm working on my owl, and I currently am just finished round number 4 of the owl, and I wanted to come on and show you a little bit of something that I changed while I'm working on the pattern, and then I also wanted to show you just an update. So I finished round number 4, and now round number 4 is the round that you crochet in the back loop only. That's what the pattern says to do, and the reason for that is to make a nice platform base. You can see there's the front loops around the edge right here. So it's just to make a base so that the owl will sit nicely. So what I was doing is with Faux Fur Yarn, for some reason the wrong side of your work is always more furry than the right side, which I can actually show right here. So this is the wrong side of my work, and you can see it's really nice and fluffy. And then this is the right side of my work, and it's a whole lot less fluffy and nice looking. So instead of working into the back loop only for round number 4, I worked into the front loop only for round number 4. So it's still the same principle basically, but now the difference is that the wrong side of our work will be facing out. So with working with Bernat blanket yarn, you want the right side of your work, so the fronts of the single crochets, to be facing out, because that looks nicer than when the wrong side of the single crochets are facing out. But with Faux Fur Yarn, you want the wrong side facing out, and you want the right side with the single crochets facing inside. So basically, I did, for round 4, you single crochet into the front loop only in each stitch around, and that will make your outside of your owl more fluffy. So this is my progress so far. I'm going to go ahead and keep working on the owl, and I'll meet you back in a little bit. Okay, so I am on round number 7, and normally on round 7 you would attach your claws. So I made both of my claws, and I was about to go ahead and start attaching them or crochet them to get onto round number 7 onto the body. But when I tried to get my 8mm hook into these little holes, it was not working at all. So I might end up having to we'll see. I might end up having to just sew them on later, which isn't a big deal, but just to note that you probably will have to sew these on later. So I'm gonna keep working. I'm gonna try to see if I can crochet these on. If not, I'll sew them on later, and I'm gonna keep working, and I'll meet you right back. Alright, so it's the next day, and I worked last night on finishing up the owl. So as you can see, I think the last time I did it, I was saying that it might be challenged to get the claws on. So I got the whole body done, and you can see it's nice and fuzzy and furry. And right now it just looks a little bit like a blob that has come together and then comes up. And there's stuffing. So I stuffed it. Now the next parts to create are the wings, the circle eyes, and then the beak. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on that. So with this, basically the only difference for the body that we did was just working into the front loop only instead of the back loop only. So that was the only difference. I was able to get my hook into the claws, so everything's looking good. So I'm gonna go ahead, work on the wings, and then I'll meet you right back. Alright, so I just finished both of the wings, and I used an 8mm hook like I used for the body. So you can see these are how the wings should look. They're kind of like a big circle that's just fuzzy and fluffy. So now I'm going to go ahead and sew these onto the body, and I'm going to, this is how it's going to look at the end once I finish it, like that. And then I also made the eye circles. Now a little bit of some tips that I wanted to share while I'm working with Faux Fur Yarn is we had first mentioned using a larger hook. The other tip is to make sure and use lots of stitch markers. So if you've never used stitch markers before, basically they are just the little, I have them right here. They are, this is what they look like. And they just open, and then you put a stitch in, put it into a stitch. These are super helpful, especially if you're using like, so to mark your first stitch of your round, but also then if you're like doing these bumps that we did, you can mark the first stitch of those decreases. You can use lots of stitch markers, especially with working with Faux Fur Yarn. It makes it so much easier. Then the other tip I wanted to share with working with Faux Fur Yarn is to, if you're really struggling, sometimes some crocheters have found that it's helpful to use like a worsted weight yarn with the faux fur. So instead of just one strand of faux fur, it's one strand of faux fur and then one strand of like a worsted weight yarn. And you'll want a color that goes somewhat with your faux fur yarn, but it can just help with seeing your stitches and kind of being able to feel for your stitches, because there's another yarn that's not furry, and that can help sometimes too. So now I'm going to keep working on the owl, finishing it up, and I'll meet you back in just a moment and share some updates. Alright, so I just attached the wings, and as you can see, this is how it looks. Super duper cute. So now the next step is to work on the eye circles, and then I also made the beak. And when we make the beak, it's like this flat triangle, and so then we have to make it kind of circular. And so I'm going to do both the beak and the eyes. Now I'm not sure exactly what color I'm going to do for the backs. If you haven't watched my other videos, I got some new safety eyes. They're 18mm safety eyes that I like to use for these this mama owl. And the safety eyes around the edge, it's clear, so it's a clear color around the edge of the safety eyes. And so then you put like these different felt, sparkly felt pieces onto the backs like this, and then that's how it becomes a certain color. So then it makes it a green sparkly eye. So I'm not sure exactly what color I'm going to do. I have pink, kind of like this yellow, silver, blue, and green. So I'm going to try a couple different colors, and then I will make a decision on what's my favorite for this color of owl. I think these are kind of fun. This is like the gold, yellow, orangish color, and my thing is not wanting to focus. There you go, you can kind of see it there. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and make my decision on color, then put it through this furry white. And I used just some leftover faux fur that I had. This is in the color Esbar, and it's also We Crochet Fable Fur, also called Fairy Tale Yarn. And that is still in stock as of my last checking. So I'm going to go ahead and put the eyes into there like that, and attach the safety eyes, and probably attach the beak as well, and I'll meet you right back. Alright, so I just finished the owl, and I absolutely love how it turned out. So you can see I decided to do kind of orangish colored glitter eyes. and this is how it turned out. So cute. So I feel like when I use the 8mm hook, I feel like the body is a little bit chunkier than the purple one is. Let me grab the purple owl. Here's the purple owl. So as you can see, this one turned out a lot more chunky than this one, but not a whole lot taller. So it kind of is interesting to see the difference of using an 8mm hook versus a 7mm hook. Obviously, there's definitely some difference. I would definitely say that this one is chunkier, but I think one of the things I did is when I'm crocheting with this, you want to do a little bit of tighter stitches. And so I think I did a little bit tighter stitches, and I probably should have done them a little bit looser. It would have helped made it a little bit taller and look a little less plump, although a plump owl is really cute too. So I'm really happy overall with the results. You can see these are the two owls. So cute. So that is about it. I think that will finish out the video. And so thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope the few tips that I shared as I was making this owl were helpful. And so yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in next week's video. Make sure to comment down below and let me know if you plan to make the owl in a different color or in Faux Fur Yarn. I absolutely love to hear from you. Also, don't forget to hit the like for this video, and then don't forget to subscribe as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in next week's video. Bye!